And we, kind of taking time, are, this would be a we are on.
All right, welcome everybody.
Okay. Yay. All right. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everybody. Wherever you are watching this Facebook Live, we hope you are doing well and that you are being safe. I am Jennifer Traficanda, and
I'm Sabrina Sayak.
Sorry, that's Sabrina. And we're members of FYLPRO, and we're welcoming you to the day 2 of this virtual event, celebrating the 9th anniversary of FYLPRO. Now, yesterday was a great day. We had our host, who is our vice president, Lizelle, and we had a former president and also an alumni. Today, we have the same. We have a host, Fred Dasadel. Excuse me. I just
Dasil.
Thank you. And then we also have former president, Dondi Quintans, and also an alumni, Ray Villanueva. Wow.
We're all familiar with how hard it is to say Filipino names, so join us in learning all of their names too. We're excited to kick off our second day with all of you while we continue to highlight our past, our alumni, and our past presidents, highlighting our present, what we're up to, what our alumni are up to, and how successful they are and continue to be. And spotlighting our future, our next batches, and everything exciting to come with FYLPRO. And we're excited to tell you what we have in store for the next few days and today.
So before we start to kick this off, I just wanted to remind everybody that this is also a fundraising event. So in the Facebook event, we have a link where you can support our organization, and no amount is too small for the efforts that we want to accomplish. So now here is a video, sizzle video of FYLPRO in the past years.
Young Leaders Program. Its intent is to empower Filipino Americans to lead their respective communities in the U.S. and actually to strengthen the long-standing Philippine-U.S. relations.
And what FYLPRO means to me is just defining such a beautiful family that I've never had before.
What FYLPRO means to me is an opportunity to learn from my fellow.
Chance to show the world what we can do. I'm very proud that there's other Filipinos behind me supporting me.
And for the Philippine Embassy, FYLPRO represents the future of the Filipino American community.
Join the conversation.
Racism and anti-Asian hate in the United States, of course, are not new.
Colonialism and imperialism are acts of anti-Asian hate.
In many of these conversations, we quickly found out that COVID-19 impacted everyone in every capacity.
That is just a quick glimpse into FYLPRO and some of our highlights. So everyone please join me in welcoming our president, our 2021 president, Luella Cabalona, and soon after our host for the evening, our treasurer, Fred Dasil. So I am going to let Madam President, take it away. And I'm gonna unmute her right now. I think we might still be muted. We don't want to miss any of the good things you're saying.
Let me unmute myself. There you go. All right, magandang gabi at magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Good evening, good morning, wherever you may be in the world. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm glad you're here to celebrate FYLPRO's 9th year anniversary with us. I am Luella Rose Cabalona, joining you from Chicago, the ancestral homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Ottawa, and Potawatomi tribes, but originally hailing from Pasig, Philippines. I am a senior manager for data analytics solutions at Blue Cross Blue Shield in Illinois. And I also founded creating and channeling my creative energies as a TV and commercial and musical theater actor in the Philippines, as well as in Singapore. I founded and am the creative director and lead singer of Filipino folk fusion band Sama Sama Project. As part of my community work, I serve proudly as the president of FYLPRO, the Filipino Young Leaders Program, and I also serve on the board of Asian Pop-Up Cinema, the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Chicago, and the Midwest Filipino American Coalition. I'm very passionate about sharing Filipino culture in the modern world and actively support all outstanding Filipinos throughout the globe, especially in my writing in Via Times here in Chicago. Yesterday, we shared about how FYLPRO is a gift that personally gave me 3 Ps: a fresh perspective that allowed me and all of us to see a more progressive Philippines, a clear purpose in serving as the bridge between our country, the USA, and the motherland for the betterment of our communities and our people. And the last P, lifelong friends. Today, we will speak with our leaders and our alumni who broke out of their comfort zones, and some would say stretch their comfort zones. President Dondi Quintans made a big move to New York from Guam in anticipation of her term as president. Alumni Ray Villanueva started a Philippine-based company, moved out of Maryland to be a trailblazer in the bamboo construction industry. I myself is a testament to this. Never did I imagine myself leading an organization as huge as FYLPRO. And even what I'm doing now, speaking in public and making speeches, it's a stretch of what I'm comfortable in doing. But if it means sharing the mission of FYLPRO and how it has impacted the lives of many of us, our alumni, I'm willing to do that. So today, we celebrate those of us who found their passion, stretched their comfort zones, found their legacy projects and their future careers through FYLPRO. Today, we celebrate the courage and the determination and hard work of FYLPRO leaders in making FYLPRO what it is now. Today, we celebrate the 84 alumni who have been part of our immersion program and the accolades they have achieved. And today, we celebrate the many helping hands and hearts, our committee chairs, our volunteers, our fellows that allowed us to provide relevant programming despite and because of the impact of COVID in our community. To Dondi Quintans, FYLPRO President 2018, Ray Villanueva from Batch 2017, and Board of Director Lucky Siap, thank you for celebrating with us. To all our guests here on Zoom and our friends watching live, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Thank you for being here, and happy anniversary to FYLPRO and to all of us.
All right, and now thank you, Luella. And now we're gonna pass it off to your host for the evening, Mr. Fred.
Mabuhay, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of our celebrations. As Lou has mentioned, this is a week-long celebration of our 9th anniversary here at FYLPRO, and I'm very, very proud to be a part of this organization. It's exciting to think that it's been 9 years already since the inception, and Luella's been a part of the organization from the get-go. I myself, I am out of Carson, California, here in Los Angeles County, and I am a delegate from 2019, which unfortunately is the last batch thus far to have gone back on an immersion to the Philippines. And it is my pleasure to be the host for this episode here today. So welcome to our families, our friends, our loved ones, and all of our fellow Filipinos all across the world. Welcome again to day 2 of our 9th anniversary celebration. And today, as Luella mentioned, we'll be talking to a lot of folks that have done a lot to FYLPRO over the years. First off, I would like to bring up our first guest for the evening, 2018 FYLPRO President, Dondi Leonidas Quintans. And if you could allow me to read her bio here, I definitely want to recognize her for everything that she's done in her own personal and professional career. Dondi is a seasoned strategic marketing and communications expert with 17 years experience in public affairs, politics, and nonprofit leadership. Dondi tenured at Gallade Group LLC in Guam, managing outreach contracts for the local and federal governments before transitioning into politics. And in 2016, she was selected as a delegate for the Filipino Young Leaders Program, after which she was selected as its vice president in 2017 and ultimately president in 2018. During these times, Dondi relocated to New York City as a consultant for the International Rescue Committee, NYU Langone Health, and Charles B. Wang Community Health Center. Today, she's the Director of Marketing and Communications for United Way of New York City. Dondi received her BA in Communications from Seattle University and her MPA graduate degree from the University of Guam. So ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and my privilege to bring up 2018 FYLPRO President, Dondi Leonidas Quintans. Dondi, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of our show.
Thank you so much for having me, everyone. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Magandang umaga sa mga Pilipinos na nanonood sa Pilipinas. And half a day, everyone. I am also from Guam, so I'd like to recognize everyone that is there and all of our fellow delegates from Guam who've had the privilege to represent our beautiful island in this wonderful, prestigious program. Thank you for having me.
Half a day and mabuhay indeed. So tell us, Dondi, how did you find out about FYLPRO and what made you apply?
You know, I grew up in a family of very active Filipino leadership, so to say, in Guam. My parents and my father specifically served as a leader for the Filipino community of Guam, serving 2 terms as the FCG president. My mom, in her right, also served as leaders or as a member of a known community member within all of the different associations back home. And like many of us, I've served as, you know, like the kids that kind of followed them around and were their shadows. I think I was at some point entertainment, like dancing hula or singing at a lot of these events. And to be quite honest, you know, growing up in that, I wanted to stay away from it because it was everything that we did and then some. Our life revolved around helping our Filipino community. And I was just a little bit tired of it, you know, and then I wanted to get out, just like all of us, a little bit, you know, wanting to move out of the island or getting out of our, you know, or growing out of our own skin and trying something new. But it is in my blood, you know, and when as an adult and coming back to Guam for work, I had been fortunate enough to work in different industries and different communities where the Filipinos and Filipino events were prevalent in our day-to-day activities. And my work, whether in politics or a nonprofit, it dealt with a lot of the Filipino programs and Filipino, the politics involved around it, the Philippine consulate. My family also had business in the Philippines, so that was something that was always just around me. While I served as the special assistant for the governor of Guam, specifically then Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio. I have had, that was when I had more exposure to the different delegates coming in and out, representing the Philippines in different countries. And that was when I first heard about FYLPRO. And the Consul General at the time had approached me, along with the Culture Committee Chair, I believe, and mentioned this program. And I had heard about it prior to, because Senator Dennis Rodriguez was part of the initial batches that had started with FYLPRO, and I had low-key been interested in doing something similar, but I had no clue how to really get my foot in, step in rather, and get my toes wet in it. Fortunately, I was selected after a grueling interview session and the longest proposal application I'd ever written next to my candidacy for my dissertation, and it has become such a great, and then here we are, rather, we could just leave it at that. I got in, and it has been the biggest and best decision that I have made, and there's definitely a different novels to the story.
That's amazing. Congratulations. You've definitely been an asset, obviously, to the organization. If I'm not mistaken, the first time I met you was during the FPAC conference in Arizona. That was 2017. So that would have been when you were VP, right?
Yes,
Nice.
I very much remember our conversation, Fred. We had our fly-in there. There was about 11 or 14 up to 14 of us FYLPRO members who had our strategic planning meeting there. It was a great golfing session for everyone as well. And, it was tied in, it wasn't just a meeting. As a matter of fact, that was organized by a fellow FYLPRO member, delegate. And we knew that this is how FYLPRO is, this is what it is. This is what it's all about. We help each other out, and in turn trying to come together and make something, kill two birds with one stone, rather, and I remember your interest in FYLPRO, and I guess it just turned on how quickly I was so excited to speak about the program because of how wonderful it had been to me and my colleagues, and knowing the fact that you've already had such a strong passion for Filipino relations and Filipino-US relations. And I think I knew that it was just in due time that you would become a member.
Nice. Well, thank you. I definitely appreciate that. Now, for the vast majority, actually, I would venture to say all of FYLPRO alumni, the biggest piece of the experience is, I would imagine, the immersion trip. Now, for you personally, what would you consider to be the most memorable aspect of your trip? And what would you say has been your biggest takeaway from it?
Well, I'll start with the takeaway. The biggest takeaway is really the strength that really came together and that has continued to brew with the team members. When I became the president, I succeeded to the incomparable Kit Zulueta and Bea Rico, and they had been part of building the foundations of what FYLPRO was thought of, rather. We were still in our infancies, and that the strategies and the discussions and the hard discussions, actually, I want to rephrase that, the hard discussions and the long conversations that really started while I was a delegate, and then soon after the 3 years soon after that. I feel like my term as a delegate was 4 years straight because it was a delegate, VP, president, board member. It was nonstop. And I think that people fail to realize that if you go to and become a FYLPRO member, it isn't just a 10 to 14-day trip. It is a lifelong, if you have it, adventure. The discussions that started while I was president, it's actually starting from a delegate all the way through when I was a board member and even up to now, we're very critical in where we are, and in its importance and vitality, in where we are now. I am amazed about how we didn't just write things down. We wrote it down, planned, and even though it took some years for it to really execute, things are definitely moving from where we were in 2012 to where we are today. I am so proud of where everything, of how we have grown. Just last year alone, just knowing the fact that like the work that former presidents have done have played a part in the strategies and the planning and the really solid plans that we have in place, that Luella has now really, and apologies, JR, then Josh, and then Luella soon, after my term, had just helped see through into fruition. And so I'm quite proud of that. So that's the biggest takeaway, is that the conversations that started and the strategies. The most memorable experience for me, there's a handful, there's way too much, but
if it prompts your mind, I know you submitted some photos.
Yes.
I think that'll probably spur you quite a bit. So let's pull up the photos, your top 5 that you had submitted to kind of spur your memory banks a little bit.
Oh man, I'm wearing the same shirt. See, look at that. Well, this is part of I wouldn't say this is just it wasn't part of our community day, but we certainly did get and this is me trying to weave. Trying is the right term for it. It would have taken me 2 years to finish a sock. Let's just leave it at the rate that I was going. This is a presentation, and we got to meet the wonderful people behind Invention Silk, which is a legacy project that was started by JP Brer, the wonderful JP. I hope he's on right now watching. And really, we got to learn about how passion projects, something that, FYLPRO members really are passion projects that, these are some of the things that we need to bring forward in, as a delegate and as a member of how can we grow something in the Philippines or in the States, showcasing our Filipino culture and just anything that involves around that. And Invention Silk has been there to, from the get-go. It was really started, the conversations and the initial steps of getting this organization together started through FYLPRO, and learning about the people who worked there and how it has helped them specifically, like the workers. We think about our businesses and our projects, but we only think about, majority of the time we talk about what we do, but we don't think about how it's affecting those who started working, those people we provide jobs for. And so at this point, this was a very, I really enjoyed this time. We got to know some of the members there and some of the employees. It's just really heartwarming to know that we've helped them in more ways than one. This right here is the wonderful 2016 delegates with President of Ayala Foundation, Ruel Maranan, and Fernando Zobel de Ayala. They are key stakeholders for FYLPRO, as many of you would know. And for those who don't, they are key partners along with the DFA in making sure that this program is a well-oiled machine. This was at one of our events at the Ayala Center, and we've had the privilege to really, this segues into something big, a different photo that's there as well. Just getting the opportunity to see and meet the members of Ayala, the Ayala family are amazing. And then really knowing that their goals to keep this program alive has been, it's very humbling. This is at the Malacanang Library, where we had probably take one of 900 teleseria photos. We tend to believe that we are models. So we have a handful of this, not just our year. So this is one of the better ones, I believe. I'm biased. this is me with the most amazing dress ever that I can admit I cannot fit anymore. So I will just put that out there. This was handmade and I love it. And the bus behind me is Mr. This is the eldest of the Zabal de Ayalas and the patriarch of the organization. And I thought that it was just very fitting that we took a photo in there. And this was at our last day. And this, of course, is Vice President Lenny Robredo. We were able to have a chance to meet her. And I found a way to just get through there and get a photo with her and provided her a gift from Guam. It's a book. It's a coffee book of inspirations of Guam with photos and some literature. And I thought that was a great opportunity and a very, very humbling experience to meet the vice president.
I think that's something that for folks on the outside looking in, it's something that you have to experience, right? The immersion trip, because as short as that trip is, it encompasses such a cross section of, the Philippine community, whether it's business, culture, the arts, government, that it really, for someone that, whether, a Phil-Am that has not been to the Philippines, or even someone that grew up in the Philippines, just haven't been back in a while, like myself, it's a transformative experience. So I'm really, it kind of excites me when I hear people talk about their own personal stories, their immersion trips. Now, like you talked about, Dondi, you went from being a delegate to VP/president-elect to president, and then to a board member. Obviously, you put a lot of time into FYLPRO. For some of our other young folks that might be considering applying for FYLPRO down the line, much like I asked you way back when, what words of advice would you like to share with them?
I really think it's really get to know yourself and what your purpose is first. I know that's such a big ask, but joining a program like FYLPRO can open so many doors for you. So if you don't know what you want, especially more specifically what you would like to do for the Philippines and to get to know your own country and to your own culture, that is actually very important to know first. Know thyself, right? And so, if you do apply, make sure that when you are selected, if you are, that you take on these questions, and be curious and have an open mind about what the country is all about, and really get to know how the connections between our two countries, the United States and the Philippines, really is, where it is back then in historically, and where it is now, and where you see it, and what your role will play in all of this. If you are selected, keep an open mind about any projects or connections or networks that you would like to tap into, because oh boy, they're there. They open doors for you. It's up to you to walk through it. And if you're lucky, you get to hold it open for a lot of other people.
I think that's the important piece right there, is not just to get the door open and walk through, but having that, extending that hand out to the folks coming up behind you.
Keeping it ajar,
That's really, yeah. So thank you. That's wonderful advice for sure. And again, hats off to you for everything that you've done, not just within FYLPRO, but the Phil-Am community and the community at large. You're definitely been, like I mentioned earlier, an asset to us all here. So thank you for everything that you provided for us. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. So at this point, let's go ahead and, as was mentioned earlier, this event this week, this is also a way for us to kind of talk about FYLPRO, yes, but also to remind you folks, this is a way for us to fundraise as well. As we have mentioned yesterday and earlier today, FYLPRO, we're still, for all intents and purposes, a growing organization, and any support you might have will definitely be appreciated. Obviously, cash donations are very much welcome, but if you have stocks that you would like to be able to donate to us, we can accept those, along with a number of other options as well. Obviously, if you're watching this right now, this is through Facebook Live. So our social media definitely has a lot of information on how you can support FYLPRO. So do ensure that you follow us on all of our social media accounts. We actually have a pretty strong digital footprint. So be sure you like, you follow, and you subscribe us on all of our social media accounts. And we're also on Amazon Smile. So, with this pandemic, unfortunately, a lot of us, we've had to socially distance ourselves, and some folks get a little trigger happy when they go shopping online. Now you can use that, your shopping as an opportunity also to be able to donate to, a worthwhile organization like FYLPRO. So thank you so much. So here's one of the events that one of our alumni is actually very instrumental in setting up. This is at the historic Filipino town in downtown Los Angeles. So if you are in the area, please do save the date. This is on Saturday, October 23rd. Commissioner Jessica Calosa from the city of Los Angeles is one of the driving forces behind the Eastern Gateway that's going to be unveiled. It's this is the official community ribbon cutting on that day. So I'm excited. Yeah, she's one of our definitely our valued alumni here in FYLPRO, and she's doing a lot of things for our community here, specifically in Los Angeles. Another event that's coming up, the Diamond Dialogue. For those of you that don't know, this year, 2021, is the 75th anniversary of U.S.-Philippine diplomatic relations. Diamond being the 75th anniversary, it's Diamond Dialogue. This is going to be a FYLPRO celebration of the 75 years of the U.S.-Philippine relations. So save the date for that one. That's on October 20th. And this year, unfortunately, because of the global pandemic, we cannot have our annual immersion trip to the Philippines. In lieu of that, we are actually going to be hosting FYLPROCon. So this is our FYLPRO virtual conference for Filipino young leaders. Not just PhilAms, but this is actually globally. This is, once again, in collaboration with our long-term partners, with the Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs and Ayala Foundation. So save the date. This is November 4th through the 6th. There's a lot of different ways that you can be involved with this. If you visit the website, you can see that there's opportunities to have a networking table, to become a community partner. Just as an individual attendee, we have special rates for students. There's a lot of different ways that, again, in lieu of having a physical immersion trip to the Philippines, which has been limited to 10 to 15 delegates. That's a silver lining, is that with FYLPROCon, this actually opens the door, because it is a virtual event. This opens the door for a lot of folks, not just in the US, not just in the Philippines, but really in the global Philippine diaspora to be involved. Now, at this point, I would like to introduce one of our board members, Lucky Siap. For those of you that tuned in to our show yesterday, he was definitely a big part of that show, even though he wasn't specifically on. But let's call on Lucky Siap for his board of director testimonial.
Hey FYLPRO, happy 9th anniversary. My name is Lucky Siap. I'm part of Batch 4 alumni, and I'm also a board member as well as the Immersion Program co-chair. Since immigrating to the United States, I've always had a passion for being involved with the Filipino-American community, regularly connecting with Filipino-American leaders from all types of industries across the United States. sharing our stories, challenges, successes, while also understanding and appreciating our culture, identity, and heritage. FYLPRO has turned that passion into purpose by giving me the opportunity to build a strong support system of connections in the Philippines and across the United States to better our communities. The network of outstanding people in FYLPRO have become my travel and adventure buddies, business partners, advisors, mentors, teachers, comic reliefs, support systems, and lifelong friends who have now become part of my family. Happy 9th anniversary, and I look forward to seeing this organization grow and take it to a new level. Hey, FYLPRO.
Daghang salamat, Lucky. Thank you. Thank you so much for those words. So at this point, moving forward in our program here, it's my pleasure to bring on one of our alumni from batch 2017. So Ray Villanueva is an educator, an architect, and a builder with a focus on community design and impact. He's a technical architect that loves to bring impactful designs to life. Ray and his wife, Amy, co-founded Kawayan Collective in 2018 after meeting the foundation-based Bahay at an immersion trip, a foundation dedicated to building socialized housing with bamboo. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to bring on to the show here tonight, Ray Villanueva. Welcome, Ray. Thank you so much for being here.
Magandang gabi, Tanan. Very happy to be here and very happy to represent Visayas from Maryland. I'm in Maryland right now. And yeah, thank you so much for having this opportunity to share my story. And it's been great to hear this whole week and the lineup you guys have this week of stories to come. So thank you so much for having me.
Magandang gabi indeed. So we went from Lucky from Cebu to Ray with Dumaguete. So Visayans definitely well represented. So tell us, Ray, how did you find out about FYLPRO and what made you apply to be a part of the organization?
Sure. So my path to FYLPRO was a little bit, I guess, happenstance. So I was born in West Virginia, grew up in Western Maryland, so far away from a Filipino community. So it wasn't until I moved out and to Seattle, Washington, where there was more of a Filipino community to engage with, where I actually went to see a production of Here Lies Love, put on by another FYLPRO alum in Seattle. And I had no idea what FYLPRO was at that point, and saw the show, loved it, and then saw this organization that was bringing Filipino Americans together, bringing them to the Philippines and changing their lives, which, like I said at the beginning, I was far away from a community, but now I feel like I'm part of a great community of high performing folks in different fields. And it's great to be able to collaborate. Since we started Kawayan Collective, I've been collaborating with the whole network that I was able to meet during the immersion program, and also alumni. Like Lockie, of course, is a great connector, and so it's always good to see like who he can connect you with. And I hope to do more of that in the next years to help our business grow. So yeah, FYLPRO has been great for me for that, and that's I'm so glad that I found FYLPRO.
Nice. That's amazing. Now, I was going to ask you what your biggest takeaway is from the immersion trip, but in your case, I think it goes without saying that it's the Kawayan Collective, right?
Yeah.
So you actually are part of the reverse brain drain, one of the Philams that went back to the Philippines to build a business. Talk to us about that. How did that come about, and what you've been doing?
Sure. Yeah. There's always a dream for me to go back to the Philippines at some capacity, and I have done that before, and with another program that I started, and really saw the impacts that someone like myself can bring back to the Philippines, and just offer opportunity. So yeah, it was really great during the immersion program to meet Base Bahay Foundation and just fall in love with their mission to provides social housing for the most vulnerable in the Philippines. And so I had this trip, and then I went back to Seattle and was sitting at my desk in the architecture firm that I worked at, building like high-rise condominiums and multifamily, like, and yeah, it didn't compare to what impact they're having for the most vulnerable people in the world. So yeah, I had to find a way to collaborate with them. And I guess it might have been 18 months later after I met the general manager of Base Baha'i at FYLPRO is when we started Hawaiian Collective. So basically, we had been trying to collaborate on a legacy project where we bring Filipino Americans from the US architecture students to do a community project. And unfortunately, with I guess study abroad at that point was very competitive, but now it's non-existent. I guess so that didn't work out, but it opened the door to this opportunity, which was to start a bamboo treatment facility. So we're essentially a bamboo lumberyard, I like to call it, and we apply poles, construction grade poles for Base Baha'i houses. And basically, bamboo is so abundant and it's such a great material to work with. We've opened our doors to other customers and really been building our customer base. And I think right now we're one of the leading suppliers in the Philippines, which is awesome.
That is amazing. Now, one of my favorite sayings in the Philippines is to be pliant like the bamboo, which means, be flexible and adapt to what comes your way. And needless to say, you definitely saw an opportunity and you capitalized on it. So kudos to you for doing that. Now, I know you have some photos from your immersion trip. Would you like to go ahead and talk about some of the memories that you've had from your immersion trip?
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's see if I can share the, yeah, okay. Yeah, so one of the great things about the immersion trip is meeting all these amazing people that are like doing great things in the Philippines already. And like, I had never heard of Howie Severino, but he's been around forever and doing great stuff on GMA, doing like real stories and about real people and real issues. So it's really inspiring to meet people like that in the Philippines and connect with them and on a different level. And yeah, it was inspiring to meet also the president, our vice president, Lenny Robredo. I think just interacting at the same table, asking her questions about just anything was really cool. As you can see, I was in the same batch as EJ David and got to hear him ask Lenny, Vice President Lenny, about I guess skin whitening products. So it was really interesting to hear about hear her answer. When he first said that he was going to ask it, I was like, "Are you asking for recommendations?" But I didn't really understand the concept at that point. But yeah, and it was just like that example of like different people coming from different walks of life and different backgrounds and just their passions, and EJ bringing that question to the table was really cool in a way that didn't put the vice president out of sorts too much, but was definitely calling attention to something that's a big elephant in the room. So that was really cool for me to, I got to share a room with EJ and we got to debrief every night, and it was really inspired by him and his work. So not only do you get inspired by the people that you meet there, but of course, all the delegates that you stay in touch with and learn more about during the trip. And so that was a great thing. And then here, during our study, I guess our volunteer time, we went out to, oh man, I forget, it was southern, maybe it was an Ayala farm, and I'm not sure where it was exactly, but we got to work on the farm and plant with the folks that live around there. And here's EJ telling a great story and telling them that they're the heroes in his book. It was a really emotional time a really emotional picture for everyone. I think everyone around the table is crying, and it was just very cool to see that us coming back has also an impact on them emotionally. And then just here's us planting during that day. And then, yeah, the most impactful part was meeting the general manager and head of technology. General manager is Maricen Gelandini on the left, and then engineer Luis Lopez on the right. And they're the leaders of Base Baha'i. So yeah, I had heard of Base Baha'i before the immersion program. And so when I got paired as a mentor with them, I was so excited. And then I got to learn more about them and everything. But I think one of the questions, I might jump ahead too far, but one of the questions is like that Fred is going to ask, I think, is I guess, what advice do you have to people to apply to FYLPRO? And I think just doing your research is so important, and knowing who's doing what. And I think I can talk more about that, a little bit later. But yeah, I think that's so important. So I think that's it. Those are my 5.
That's amazing. And I realized that in your batch photos there, I realized that you have one of your batchmates in our Zoom call here today. I'd like to recognize Tyler Dos Santos Tom, who's in the Zoom call. But yeah, thank you. I mean, that's exciting, seeing that. And again, like I mentioned earlier with Dondi, that immersion trip, as short as it is, it's so high impact, just because you get to see an amazing cross section of the Philippines. So even if you haven't really had that much of a background with the country, it's a crash course and learning about the Philippines. And in your case, you kind of took that and quite literally you pulled up stakes from the States and opened a business in the Philippines, right? Yeah. So you mentioned the words of advice. Anything else you wanted to share before we went ahead and move forward here?
Yeah, sure. I think, like I said, just do your research. When like I said, I knew about Base Baha'i before, and it's because I'd spent some time in the Philippines before doing another program and learned about just all the players doing in my field at that point. And it was so great to be connected with them and to just then when they're asking about mentors for the program, just to be able to suggest some things and then they'll make it happen, which was really great. I think I remember going to meet them during that time during the immersion period, and it was, I guess everything could have gone wrong. Like I got dropped off in the wrong place and had to get an Uber to get there in time, and then it was just a comedy of errors. But in the end, it was so cool to make the connection and just right off the bat being on the same page. And then 18 months later, starting a business and somehow convincing my wife to also move. And we have 2 kids, so doing it while they're young. And yeah, it's been a great ride so far. And yeah, we're doing great. I think we've done got our first grant from the local Department of Science and Technology to double our operations. And yeah, so I think it's just, I guess, an example of what anyone could do here in their field. And if you have the time and the capacity, I believe that anyone could do it if I can do it.
That's amazing. I would like to read one of the comments here is that Ray looks younger and tanner living in the Philippines. So that's a nice side effect of that. Tanner, yeah. So I guess you didn't use the skin whitening. Yeah. But thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story. That's amazing. And again, hats off to you for, again, that reverse brain drain. So I'm excited that that you really made this a springboard, and hearing about how you obviously you made the decision not just for yourself but also to bring your wife and your young family with two children. That's even more brave. But thank you. Really appreciate you, and all the best and everything else that you do. So folks, that's Ray Villanueva. Thank you so much, Ray. So moving forward here, there's a couple other alumni that wanted to share their recap from their immersion. So let's go ahead and share this next video.
I feel like Filipino Americans have so much to offer.
Journey back to our Filipino roots. Really get more exposure for the Filipino American stories.
Meeting as many people and getting as many perspectives as possible. It gives me more of an oversight of what my team goes through here.
How do we bridge those two worlds between the Philippines, the Filipino culture and the American culture? Better understanding of myself, my identity, and my culture.
Be a part of this change and to hopefully strengthen that relationship.
No history, no self, right? That quote is always with me everywhere I go.
So I'm a Tagalog, you're an Ilocano, but really we're all Filipinos, and that should be the narrative across the board.
That is amazing. That's from batch 2018. So that's batch 7. And I actually have a lot to be thankful for that batch. Dr. Kat, that I still qualified for FYLPRO. Because that's when I realized that applications were open for folks that were 25 to 40 years old at the year of the immersion. So that's how I found out that I still made the cut at 40. But anyways, for those of you young folks out there that might be interested to find out more about FYLPRO, check us out. Visit our website, go to our social media accounts. And again, we're kind of all across, with our digital footprints. We are very, very active right now, despite everything else happening globally with the pandemic. Again, this year we've pivoted. We're having FYLPROCon. Hopefully next year it's once again safe to have our annual immersion trip to the Philippines. And if so, I definitely would encourage everyone, those young folks out there that that are interested, be sure you apply. Go ahead and throw your hat in the ring. Do your homework, obviously, but at the same time, if you really are interested in rekindling that relationship, that cultural ties that you have with the motherland, the Philippines, I would highly encourage you to be a part of our transformative immersion trip to the Philippines, because let me tell you, I mean, it's certainly something that you kind of have to experience. But take it from me, one of the alumni, the 84 alumni for the organization, it's life changing. And if you had a relationship with the Philippines in the past already, I can guarantee you that it's going to strengthen that relationship and really, give you the add to the passion, so to speak, of helping the global Filipino diaspora, much like we have been doing over these past 9 years now. So thank you so much for being a part of the second episode here of our 9-year anniversary for FYLPRO. Once again, this is the Filipino Young Leaders Program. I would like to invite you continue to tune in for the rest of the week. We have amazing folks lined up, our past presidents. We have our alumni, all these folks that have done amazing things for the community, and listen to their stories, and hopefully they will enkindle that passion within you to yourself to plug in to this global community that we've been a part of, and do your own part really to help the Filipinos and the Philippines. So once again, my name is Fred Doc Dossel. I am currently serving FYLPRO as a treasurer for 2021 and 2022. Thank you for being a part of our show today. And I would like to wish everyone salamat, stay safe, and mabuhay.